Good morning. I'm getting everybody in from the waiting room. So as soon as I get everybody in, we'll get started. Hold on, I know I got several people waiting on me. Well, maybe it's coming up. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. We'll get started with just a couple of announcements and reminders, and I'm going to keep watching the waiting room to make sure that I don't miss anybody jumping on this morning. So happy Tuesday. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit the other day, but a reminder that a couple of things. One, we are officially in the second 6 weeks, so everything that we're doing this week on will definitely be second 6 weeks report card stuff, progress report stuff, all the things. So hold on, make sure that I got a few things pulled up really quick before we get too far into it. There we go. Okay. All right, so we'll go through what we did the other day. We will we'll hit IDs and SQs for section 2. We'll hit section 2 in the packet, and then we'll even do a couple of questions on your map activity, just to see how you're doing, making sure that you're starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together as we go through this. The biggest thing, especially if you feel like you're not getting everything, make sure that you're going through those PowerPoints, you're using your note packets. You'll see how much when we do start back AB, how much we use those on a daily basis as review, as preparation for upcoming tests and quizzes, as all the things, especially as we start to get ready. Because again, another reminder that we will be getting ready to get ready for midterm once you guys come back. So being juniors and seniors is pretty much all that's in American 2, mostly seniors. You guys come back on the 19th. So when you guys come back, one of the biggest things that we'll be doing is reviewing. For 2 reasons. One, to see if you got that stuff at the very beginning, and then number 2 is reviewing in preparation for midterm. Here's good news. I got some really good news. So you will get a study guide, and that study guide is going to walk us through everything we've done since the beginning, from Wild West, cities, immigration, imperialism, progressives, World War I, and 1920s. So we still have this week, we still have next week to get through everything in preparation for midterm. And that study guide is going to walk us through and review everything. So I'm kind of hoping that that will help us kind of fill in the pieces. If there's anything, any unit that you didn't understand or get or do as well on as you had hoped to on any test or quizzes. But sorry, I didn't mean to skip the good news. The good news is that your study guide counts as a test grade. So if there was a quiz or there was a test that you didn't do so hot on, then having an easy 100 as a test grade should help out everybody across the board. All right. So that's the good news. I didn't tell you what the bad news was. Bad news is one of the other things besides midterm that's on second 6 weeks is your fall semester STEAM project that we're going to work on. And I don't want to really discuss it too much in depth until you guys are back with me on the 19th. I think that's right. I've got it written down somewhere. I'm pretty sure the 19th. And I did go through and make my schedule the other day, so I know who is joining me on A days and who's joining me on B days. And it'll be so nice for us to be together and do this stuff together, and not something that you have to force yourself to do at home by yourself. So anyway, we're making preparations for you guys coming back in just a few more weeks, and I'm really excited about that. So if everybody's good, no questions or comments, then we'll go ahead and jump straight into it. And I'll also briefly talk about your World War I project and make sure nobody has any questions about that too, okay? All righty, let's do it. Let's get it done this morning. All right, so section 2. Yesterday we introed into how World War I got started, those causes of World War I. Today we're going to focus primarily on what is the U.S. doing. So yes, we do drag our feet on getting involved, mainly because number one, it's happening in Europe, and number two, it does not immediately affect us. Now our friends and allies are in it. You know, Great Britain and France and Russia have been kind of our companions for a while, and you know, we feel for them that they're involved in this, but again, we don't have a monarch, we don't have any family members that are involved in this kind of family feud, so we drag our feet up until obviously once American lives are being lost and the US is being threatened, that kind of pushes us. That's your bell ringer question. You know, that pushes us into war. The sinking of the Lusitania, the Zimmerman telegram that we talked about yesterday, okay? All right, question 10, section 2 says, how did progressives use their ideas to mobilize both the economy and the American people during the war? Okay, so we're about to switch everything over. So here's what I want you to put as your answer. Short, sweet, to the point. We switch everything over to wartime production. I'll explain what that means, but we switch everything over to wartime production, okay? Here's what I mean by that. Our factories are not making clothes anymore, now we're making uniforms. We're not making lipstick, now we're making bullets. We're not working on making, I don't know, other radios. How about that? We're not working on making radios anymore. Now we are mass producing new technology like machine guns and things like that that are wartime materials, okay? Everything is switching gears, all right? Again, not making cruise ships, now we're making battleships, okay? So switching over to wartime production. Number 11 says, why did Congress pass the Espionage Act in 1917? If you kind of walk through, hold on. If you walk through your PowerPoint notes and kind of do a page a day, and that's kind of the pace that we're going with this. So this one should be the U.S. enters into war. It talks about it, let's see, on the third, fourth, no, further down, I guess. Towards the end of that PowerPoint note. I was trying to find, there it is. Yeah, it's in, should be those last couple of boxes talking about the Espionage and Sedition Act. So, sorry, I forgot the question. Why did they pass it? So the U.S. can focus on the war, all right? The Espionage Act says that you can't criticize the U.S., and that's why you see the court case, Schnick versus the U.S. During a time of war, you cannot try and stop somebody from signing up for the military and volunteering. You can't speak out against the government, kind of seen as being treasonous, really, speaking out against the government during a time of war. So I'm trying to think of an easy way to simplify that, because there is more to it than that. Like immigrants, if they were doing that, they could actually be deported during this time period. If you are a citizen and you're doing it, you can be thrown in jail. So it kind of depends on what your legal status is as to what can happen to you, but just put that it's trying to discourage anyone from speaking out against the government during the time of war. I don't know that I can summarize that better. But again, do emphasize that this is talking about during a time of war. Because if you think about it, you're like, well, wait a minute, don't we have First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, things like that? Yes, you do, but sometimes they are limited during a time of war. You know, we've got other things. We really don't need anybody being anti-patriotic right now when we've got other things to focus on and worry about. So, penalizes people speaking out during a time of war. I don't know. That's as good as I can get it. All right, 12 says, what were the contributions of African Americans and women during the war? Took over the jobs left behind. There you go. Took over the jobs left behind. So we have millions that volunteer, but we have millions more that are about to be drafted into war. Which means all those jobs are now open. You know, we still need farmers. We still need factory workers. We still need store operators and managers. We still need to function all these things in society. So women have to step up and take over the jobs as well as minorities. So, you know, it's the pros and cons, right? The pro is that jobs that women and minorities might never have the opportunity to do, they're now getting to you know, get a taste of it. For a lot of them, it will only be during the war, and afterwards, you know, women will go back home. Minorities might get either let go or move to a lower position. Again, we'll discuss those issues that pop up later with that, but that is kind of the situation of what is coming later. Okay. All right, last question says 13, how did Congress ensure that the U.S. would have enough troops to serve in World War I? And I kind of answered that already, but it's the Selective Service Act. Sorry, I thought I was going to cough. Selective Service Act. Now, the Selective Service Act is a fancy way of saying draft. All right, we're starting the draft back up. Now, good news is that we do have millions that volunteer, but it's not enough. It is not enough. So we do have to start the draft back up to ensure that we have plenty of American soldiers to go overseas and fight. So Selective Service Act. And again, I am referencing all the information from the U.S. Enters the War, if you have your notes close. All right, so you've got 4 IDs, all of which these IDs, and I don't know if you noticed this from yesterday, but all these IDs are actually answers in your packet. So this kind of helps you practice that vocab, which is great. I mean, that's the whole purpose of it, is to practice that vocab. Okay, so here's what we got. War Industries Board. War Industries Board. The War Industries Board, and again, I'm trying to reference where it is on your page of notes. Yeah, it should be on that bottom half, I think, of your notes. Let's summarize. Regulate war production. 3 words. Regulate war production. So again, they are responsible for making sure that our factories are all switching over to wartime production. We're not making clothes, we're making uniforms, we're not making lipstick, we're making bullets. You kind of get where I'm going, okay? All right, Victory Gardens. Victory Gardens are a way for us to conserve. And that's not what I want you to put. That's not what I want you to put. Victory Gardens, just put personal home gardens. Personal home gardens. Because here's the idea behind it. The idea is that you would grow your own food at home so that you don't have to go to the grocery store and buy anything, because guess what? Whatever you don't buy, we can pack up and send to our soldiers overseas. If we have millions of soldiers that have been drafted and volunteered to go fight, we got to feed them, right? We got to feed all these people. And they don't have time to go to the grocery store. They don't have time to find food elsewhere. We have to provide it to them. So we're encouraging Americans to build their own gardens at home, you know, tomatoes and cucumbers and green beans and corn and whatever you can grow at home. That's what you need to do and eat, so that you don't have to run to the grocery store and buy it, because again, that's more food for us to send to our soldiers. So all of this is in efforts to conserve. Okay. We also see, fun fact, we also see this is the same time that we come up with the daylight savings time. And to where, you know, during the fall, we fall back an hour. In the spring, we spring forward an hour. And all this is a way for, this is for farmers. Sorry, my hair is aggravating me. Daylight savings time is for farmers. It is to give them extra time, extra sunlight to go out and get those crops in and get them harvested. We don't, with modern day technology, we really don't need it. So there's actually a movement to get rid of daylight savings time, that we don't even need it like we used to. Now, I don't know that they'll ever actually do that, but you know, just something to think about. Okay. All right. Last two, the National War Labor Board. Again, these are answers that are going to be on your packet here in just a second. National War Labor Board, again, that should be on that bottom half of your notes packet. I was trying to find it on mine, or maybe it's at the beginning. That one might be at the beginning. Maybe, or maybe I passed it. No, it might be on the next page. Never mind. All right. To prevent work strikes. Just put that. To prevent work strikes. Again, during a time of war, we don't need any extra issues, problems, frustrations. We're focusing on the war, so we don't really want to focus on any other problems here at home, right? So to prevent work strikes. Last but not least, Committee on Public Information. Public service to get war information out there. Public service to get information out. And it is obviously information talking about the war. We are going to be very one-sided about this information. This is not like today. Today, the news will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and they usually, I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm sure you see it, that they do tend to focus a lot more on the bad. But 1912, 1915, 1917, it's all positive, 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 patriotic, go America, American flag and the eagle in the background, you know, go America, we're awesome, we're kicking butt, taking names, we're winning, this is great. That's what you saw. Now, is that the truth? No, we had millions die. We had, you know, whole units lost. We had casualties, blood and guts everywhere. But we didn't say any of that. We didn't show any of that. We didn't show body bags of, you know, dead soldiers. We didn't do any of that. Now, people are not dumb. We know that people are dying, but that's not the point of view we want. We're kind of putting blinders on people, and we want them to see the good, the positive, America the strong, America the brave, America is capable and powerful and will win, okay? So the Committee on Public Information, their job was to show positive wartime propaganda. And again, talked about propaganda yesterday. Okie dokie, grab your packet. Today is fill in the blank. This won't take us but a couple minutes to run through. We'll talk about your map. We'll talk about your World War I project, and then we'll go on, okay? All right, fill in the blank. Just follow me as we go. Again, some of these blanks are small for really big words, but if you have your ID sheet out, that'll help you with your spelling. Okay. The government used progressive ideas to manage the economy and pay for the war. Number one says if you want to shorten it, you can. The answer is War Industries Board. So if you just want to put WIB, that's fine with me as long as you know what it stands for. So either War Industries Board or WIB. Controlled the flow of raw materials, ordered the construction of new factories and occasionally set prices. Number 2, the Food Administration encouraged families to conserve food and grow vegetables in, here's your answer, victory gardens. Victory gardens, we talked about that, those personal home gardens that everybody's growing. Fun fact, they also did it at schools for school lunches. There you go. Number 3, to fund the war effort, the government raised income taxes and borrowed money through the sale of Liberty bonds. Liberty bonds. Liberty bonds, it's kind of like loaning the government money, but you're making money on your money, right? Through interest, okay? So if you buy a Liberty bond or Victory bond, everything's very patriotic during the war, if you can't tell already. So if I buy $100 in a Liberty bond, and after the war is over, I cash it in. So I get my $100 back plus whatever the interest was. Making money on your money, right? It's a good investment. And you're loaning the government money during that time, okay? Pay for the war. All right, 3 is Liberty bonds. Number 4, to prevent strikes from disrupting the war efforts, and again, it's on your ID page. So you can either put the National War Labor Board, which is number 16, or you can put NWLB. If you just want to put the initials, NWLB, National War Labor Board. Number 5, a new government agency, the CPI, either the initials or the word, Committee on Public Information. I forgot what it was. So CPI or Committee on Public Information had the task of selling the war to the American people. Number 6, the Sedition Act, and I was looking to see if it was on your IDs. It's not. Sedition Act of 1918 made any public expression of opposition to the war or criticism of the government illegal. And like I said, if you are a citizen and you do this, you can be thrown in jail. If you're an illegal immigrant and you're doing this, you can be deported. All right, Section 2, the U.S. instituted a draft for military service, and African Americans and women took on new roles. Number 7, believing a draft was necessary, Congress created a new system of conscription called selective service. Selective service. And again, selective service, the draft. Okay, selective service. All right, number 8 says, many of the American soldiers who served overseas were not conscripts, but local civilians. That's your answer. Local civilians who responded to the nation's call. They volunteered, essentially. They volunteered. Number 9, African American soldiers served in segregated. So we still have a separation of the races, right? So segregated units under white officers and often encountered discrimination within the Army. Towards the end of this unit, we'll talk about how African Americans and other minorities were, treated during the war. And it's really sad. It's embarrassing, especially because our ally countries treat them better than we do. That's not good. And number 10, World War I was the first war in which women officially served in the armed forces. Armed forces for number 10. Now, women did not fight in battles. They were not on the front lines. Nurses did clerical work like secretaries, typing up notes and memos and telegrams and messages and stuff. But women did not fight. They were not on the actual battlefield itself. Women did serve, but in different ways. And like I said, nurses and clerical work were the two. Okay, now, last piece of the puzzle is to talk about your World War I map and your World War I project. World War I project, and again, I didn't realize until I think Blake, me and you were talking about it yesterday, I didn't realize that I didn't post it like I had everything else. So I'm sorry it took me so long to get that posted, but it is up. So you're picking a topic of your choice. And I tried to give you some ideas, but if there's something that you would rather do and it's not something I mentioned, just run it by me, okay? It is super short and quick. It's 10 slides total. And one slide your title page, one slide is your cited MLA style works cited bibliography. So there's only 8 that have to have information and a picture, at least one picture. So you've got a picture and you've got, let's say 2 bullet points. Let's say I'm talking about women during the war, and I comment on women did volunteer, to be nurses during this time period. What the Red Cross did. Maybe I'm talking about women on the home front working in factories. Women on the home front. I lost what I was going to say. Building their victory gardens, right? So you can easily fill up 8 slides with 1 to 2 pieces of information and a picture. No big deal. Okay. All right. And then your map, like I said, if you can print it out, that's probably the easiest way to do your map. If not, the biggest thing is making sure you answer the questions. I don't really care that much if you color everything in, but the biggest thing is making sure that you're answering the questions. And I know it says use textbook. We don't have a textbook. Ignore that. Okay. So on your map, that's section 1. You've got to do A, B, C, D, and E. It says just identify the nations described below and locate them on the map. All right, so A, Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated by a man who wanted the unification of Bosnia and this nation, and it is Serbia. And Serbia is the country, that's where the guy's from that gets everything started. So Serbia, Serbia. I hope that's right. Serbia. B says these 3 nations belong to the Triple Alliance in 1914. And I didn't call them that the other day. Hold on, I was trying to find my other slide. The other day when we were going through stuff, I called them either the Central Powers or the Allies, but they actually have 2 different names that they can go by. Like I said, I don't know if you noticed that. So Triple Entente is also talking about the Allies. Where it says Triple Alliance, that can also be talking about the Central Powers. So if you have and I know you probably can't see that very well, but the first page of notes go over the 2 names that they might go by. So Triple Alliance, Central Powers, for B is talking about Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Ottoman Empire. So that's your answer for B. Germany, Austria-Hungary, Ottoman Empire. C, this nation set up a naval blockade and mined the North Sea. That's Great Britain. D, a revolution in 1917 forced this nation to leave the war. We ain't got there yet, but it's going to be Russia. Russia's going to have a revolution and come out of the war in 1917. And then E, in 1914, the German army invaded Belgium on its way to this nation. We talked about this yesterday. That's France. So on your map activity, we did all the answers to section 1, A through E. That's what I just gave you, okay? So like I said, the most important thing to do this is to make sure that you answer those questions. If you're not able to print, if you're not able to get the map pulled up to be able to do the other parts, I'm not going to penalize anybody for that because of technical issues and my lack of technical knowledge. I don't know how you would say it. And then we'll work on some more questions tomorrow. Okay, so don't lose that. All right, in our last couple of minutes, questions, comments, concerns about the project, about any of the work, anything else coming up, and you can just throw it in the chat. if there's something that you got a question about and you don't want to say out loud, maybe. I don't know. Anybody? Blake, anything?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Ashlyn, questions, comments, concerns?
I'm good, I think.
Okay. No issues with the project or anything else?
I do have a question about something though.
Okay, go ahead.
Whenever we come back to do the A day and B day,
Yes.
are we still gonna have work to do? Like even if we go to school and then we come home, are we still gonna have online work to do?
No, no. The days that you are with me in the classroom, you will do all your work in the classroom. You won't go home and do anything else.
All right.
Yeah. It'll just be on your days off. So I don't remember which one you are, if you're A or B, but
I'm B.
your B day. Okay, so you would do stuff on Monday, Tuesday, and then when you're with me on Wednesday, Thursday, you do it in the classroom, and then on Friday. Friday will always be like just a quick bell ringer and wrap up activity. But you won't do stuff online on the days that you're with me in the classroom.
Because I was just thinking if I have to do that, that's going to be like an all-day thing.
No, no, I wouldn't do that to you. That would kind of defeat the purpose of being in school.
I don't know, I just felt like some teachers would do that just to be mean or something. I don't know.
I hope not. I can't speak
Yeah.
for everybody, but I hope not.
Yeah, me too.
Justin, did you have any questions about anything?
No.
Okay. All right, good deal. And Ashlyn, I didn't mean to cut you off if you did have anything else. But if everybody's good, then we'll call today. I know I'm already a few minutes over my time. But we'll stop and then we'll get back at it tomorrow, okay? All righty. Bye, guys. Have a good one.